Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Can't Think Straight. Black History Month might be over, but you know what that means. Women's History Month. To celebrate women's history, we're collaborating with our friends over on Blackit app to bring you a 2-part Crash Course Blurred Alert crossover, all about influential Black queer women. But before we can get into that, there's a lot we need to talk about over on Headlines.
Welcome to Headlines. My name is Raya Autry.
And I'm Jasmine Swiklinski, here to bring you all the major headlines in queer news. Let's jump right in.
Heated rivalry isn't the only place LGBTQ+ winter athletes are slaying. Queer athletes from all over the world brought home 11 medals during this Winter Olympics, with 5 of those being gold. 3 of the gold medal holders, Kayla Barnes, Hillary Knight, and Alex Carpenter, represent Team USA on the women's hockey team. There were LGBTQ+ people in all 3 of the medaling women's hockey teams. There is also the figure skater Guillaume Cizeron, skier Breezy Johnson, and figure skater Amber Glenn, alongside freestyle skier Mathilde Gremmel. Yes, if you counted, that's 8 physical gold medals going home with LGBTQ+ athletes. If the LGBTQ+ was its own nation, it would be ranked 13th in the medal count.
In more heated rivalry news, The Cottage will soon be available on Airbnb. And if you find yourself in Gravenhurst, Ontario, Canada, needing a place to stay, take a look at rentals on Lake Muskoka. The viral cottage from the show's final will be available for rent during select weekends this summer for $184 a night. This comes after a 40% increase in searches for cottage rentals in the area following the final of Heated Rivalry.
On the music side of things, Brandi Carlile raised $600,000 during a Minneapolis concert to raise money for families affected by ICE. Carlile has been a longtime activist after coming out as a lesbian in 2002. She posted to her Instagram, quote, "I can't believe I got to sing for you and with you last night. So many people came together to celebrate your strength and conviction." And if you haven't seen it already, Keke Palmer came out as asexual, saying she is, quote, "almost 100% sure." She's quoted again back in 2015, saying, "Why the hell do I need to declare to you who's laying in my bed?" in response to questions of her sexuality. Good for you, Keke Palmer.
All the way from the Vatican, Pope Leo says Catholic doctrine on LGBTQ+ people will not change. However, before becoming Pope, he criticized Western media for being sympathetic of the homosexual lifestyle and alternative families. Pope Leo began his papacy saying that Catholic marriage rights are only for heterosexual couples, but he continues Pope Francis's policy allowing priests to bless same-sex unions without officially considering queer couples married.
This November, LGBTQ Nation reported funding cuts may halt years of progress in the fight against HIV. For decades, nonprofits specifically run by people of color filled in the gaps left by public services. The Trump administration's funding cuts risk breaking this carefully built system of support.
Today's heartwarming story comes all the way from Michigan. Leo Cundiff, a 30-year-old trans man, is being hailed as a hero after he jumped in a freezing Lake Michigan to save a baby. He told outlets he heard the mother scream after a strong gust of wind blew the baby stroller into the lake, and said, quote, "I wasn't going to let that baby die. That's crazy." Cundiff is also defending the mother of an 8-month-old, saying, quote, "When you almost lose your kid like that, you don't need the world judging you too, especially when it wasn't anything on purpose. It was just a freak accident." While in the moment his motivation was to save the baby, Cundiff hopes that his story will show others that trans people are regular human beings.
In more serious news, President Trump's State of the Union address was riddled with heavily anti-queer rhetoric. Trump placed heavy emphasis on things like the targeting of transgender teens, pushing transphobic laws, and even celebrating Erica Kirk for taking over Charlie Kirk's anti-LGBTQ ideals. Another article from the LGBTQ Nation reports that the CIA has retracted intelligence reports focused on and around LGBTQ+ oppression and white supremacy. Director John Ratliff says these reports, quote, "fall short of the high standards of impartiality held by the CIA." However, former CIA officials say that the statement is false and serves only as a reflection of the administration's agenda.
In Kansas, Senate Bill 244 enforces trans people to use bathrooms correlating to their birth sex. in government-run institutions, as well as revokes driver's license of trans people. Trans people living in Kansas have been receiving letters from the state requiring them to go to the DMV, surrender their license, and get a new ID marked with their gender assigned at birth, effectively erasing their identities. Those who received a letter were not given a grace period, and those who do not adhere to the new law will either be fined or placed in jail. For those who weren't born in Kansas and moved there, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, they are fined because, quote, SB 244 applies only to driver's licenses and birth certificates that were issued in the state of Kansas. The ACLU isn't entirely sure how this will affect people's right to vote. However, they have linked a list of acceptance forms of ID on the state's website.
And finally, ending on a bit of a higher note, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife Mackenzie Scott donated $45 million to the Trevor Project, which is a nonprofit dedicated to serving queer youth. The Trevor Project says the donation was, quote, transformational, as it is the largest single individual donation that the nonprofit has ever received. That's all the headlines we have for you today, but don't go anywhere. There is more Can't Think Straight coming your way right now.
What's up, Blurred Alert, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about some very special women. In honor of last month, Black History Month, and Pride Month coming up soon, today I've decided to talk about some Black queer women.
Not there. Hello? This isn't Can't Think Straight, is it?
No, this is Blurred Alert.
Oh, okay. Can I sit down for a little bit? I've been walking around the studio all day.
I guess.
Just for a little bit? Okay, thank you. What are you talking about?
Black queer women, actually. I just said that.
Well, you can educate me. How about that?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Starting off with our first, Marsha P. Johnson. She was born in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and from the age of 5 years old began wearing women's clothing. After graduating high school, she moved to Manhattan, where she was often on 42nd Street in Times Square, working at the Child's Restaurant, supplementing her income with sex work and going out in partial drag, firstly going by the name Black Marsha, but eventually adopting the name Marsha P. Johnson, which she's best recognized for. She had stated that Marsha was derived from her nickname Mikey, Johnson was from Howard Johnson's Hotel in Elizabeth, and P stood for Piola. After becoming a drag queen and performing and dressing more femininely in her daily life, she started to undergo feminizing hormone therapy, which led her to state that she had started to live her life as a woman and her goal was to eventually get gender reaffirming surgery. Marsha was an LGBTQ+ activist and performer, also known by the name Saint of Christopher Street. She is considered an important figure in the LGBTQ+ and transgender rights movement due to her involvement in the Stonewall riots, changing the tides of history by throwing the first brick at Stonewall. The riots started on account of a police raid at the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village, where there were attempted arrests of many patrons, including cross-dressers and sex workers, and Marsha herself was frequently denied entry there. After Starr's dissolution in 1973, she began performing with various theater groups in Manhattan, such as the Angels of Light and the Hot Peaches. Once the AIDS pandemic broke out in New York in 1980, she began to care for her friends who were dying from AIDS and engaged in AIDS-related activism, and also petitioned the gay and lesbian non-discrimination bill. Unfortunately, in 1992, her body was discovered in the Hudson River under mysterious circumstances at just 46 years old. After her death, she further became an LGBTQ+ icon, with people giving her many tributes and memorials in the US, like the short film Happy Birthday, Marsha. The next special lady we're going to discuss is Angela Davis. Angela was also a feminist political activist, a scholar, Marxist, and a former Black Panther who came out as lesbian in 1977, becoming a very prominent member in the queer, feminist, and anti-racist movements. Long before this, though, she often connected her works and ideas to queer liberation as she advocated for LGBTQ+ rights. She was a longtime member of the Communist Party USA and a founding member of the Committees of Correspondence for Democracy and Socialism, and is currently active in the Occupy movement and the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions, aka BDS, campaign. She also founded the African American Agenda 2000, which is a group of Black feminists combating racism, sexism, and homophobia. As of 2020, she is living with her partner Gina Dent, a fellow humanities scholar and intersectional feminist researcher at UC Santa Cruz, and together they have advocated for the abolition of police and prisons and championing the Black liberation and Palestinian solidarity. Fun fact, in 2020, she was listed as the 1971 Women of the Year and in the Times list of the 100 most influential people in the world. Last but definitely not least is Megan Thee Stallion, aka Megan Cavan Ruth P. Megan was introduced to hip-hop by her mother, Holly Thomas, a rapper known as Hollywood, who often took Megan to her recording sessions, and by the time Megan was 14, she was writing her own raps. Throughout her teens, she would post rap freestyles online and slowly build a following, and in 2016, would go viral for her freestyling rap battle, The Houston Cypher. And after this, she began posting her music to YouTube and SoundCloud. Megan has always integrated her sexuality into her music and public persona, posting in 2020 that she was looking for a girlfriend and describing her ideal type in women. She's also explicitly stated many times how she's attracted to women in songs like Broke His Heart, released in 2020, and in that same year, proudly endorsed the fans' lesbian pride sign during her Hot Girl tour. I think that someone like Megan being unapologetically herself, no matter what comes her way, is extremely inspiring, not just as a Black person, but as a queer person too. Thankfully, we have so many role models in the LGBTQ+ community to look up to, and we have past icons to thank for their bravery and radical self-acceptance. Thank you so much for joining us today. Blurt out.
It was so awesome. I'm gonna do some research of my own, and I think I'm gonna come back and give y'all some of my information. Are y'all still gonna be here, or? No?
No, you can do that somewhere else. This was really weird.
Right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you like my notes? Do you like my notes?
Sure.
No? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Fine, I'll get out. You know what, I'm taking this chair with me.
You actually can't do that.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
property, yeah. Try not to trip on your way out, I guess.
My name's Madison. I'm from Michigan, and it really is part of my personality.
Hey team, I'm Alex Wallen, and technically this is my first official season on Can't Think Straight.
So, hi, I'm Amber Ray. I basically go by either or. I steal names in my free time. Don't tell anyone I said that though.
Hello, I'm Venus. I don't like my face on camera, which should be obvious.
What up? I'm Raya. I'm a junior here. My major is electronic media broadcasting with a minor in photography.
My favorite color is green, and not in like a neon Billie Eilish Ghost Roots kind of green, but like a trees in the summer after it's rained, and you can like smell the dirt. That kind of a green.
My favorite color is blue. This is a good example. This shade of blue is one of my favorites. This is also one of my favorite shades of blue. I have blue eyes, if you couldn't tell, and I would say I like to say that if I were to be in a cartoon, I would be the perfect cartoon character.
My favorite colors are blue and purple. Most of the time I see any shade. It doesn't really matter which, honestly, in my opinion.
I can't see blue, which reminds me of the time I went shopping with my mom over Christmas. We went to Old Navy, and I picked out this shirt, and I was like, oh my God, it's a cutesy little blue shirt. It's simple, it's great, it's fine. I show my mom, I go, how cute is this blue shirt? She goes, baby, that's gray.
I like cheese a great deal. It's surprisingly tasty, despite my lactose intolerance. I don't know why I like cheese. Part of it's the joke about liking cheese. It's just something funny I find about cheese. But I also quite like the taste and the complexity of it.
You know, in cartoons, when it's that one character, they're going to school, blue outfit on. They go to prom, blue outfit on. Go to the beach, blue outfit on. That'd be me. And I feel like that basically describes my personality. I could honestly stop talking right there, but I'm not going to because I'm a Capricorn.
I'm a Leo. Maybe that's why my favorite color is green, because my birthstone's green.
I also have a cat waiting for me very patiently and sadly at home. She's probably crying on my bed right now.
I'm running around, and I'm running straight towards the water, and my mom's like, oh my God,